going on, guys? Another episode of Mike's Rig Rundown, and today I'm going to be reviewing my two Solar guitars. What's going on, guys? It's been a while. So the last Mike's Rig Rundown, I did my Firefly guitar. Now, you could, see what model that was, whatever. But I did that episode because I was like, oh, you know what? This is a guitar that a lot of people do not have. And, yeah, I threw it out there, and a lot of people responded to it very well. A lot of people liked it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do two more guitars that a lot of people also might not have. So today, I'm breaking out of my collection my two Solar guitars. So I'm going to put the model in the description of this. With the Solar model specifically, they don't have like, oh, this is the Explorer. Like, there are so many different models and numbers and stuff in the actual guitar title, so it's kind of hard for me off the top of my head to, give that information. So today I'm going to be reviewing my Solar Explorer shape. Pretty cool, huh? And I'm going to be reviewing over here in the corner my Solar F shape. Now, both shapes obviously are different, and you're like, hey, how are you going to be thorough with reviewing two guitars at the same time? Well, these guitars are actually very similar. They're both neck-through guitars. The hardware that they use on a lot of these guitars are very similar. Obviously, the bridge is different on this than the other guitar. However, it's all from the same factory. It's all the same quality, unless you are buying like a custom shop Solar, which they didn't even offer when I got these guitars. So they both have a matte finish. They both have the same basic hardware. They are both neck-through guitars. I have them set up the exact same way, where I have a Seymour Duncan Nazgul put into the bridge, and they both are ebony fretboards. And yeah, it's the same basic setup: volume, a tune, a actual tone knob, and a little pickup selector. So they're basically the same guitar, if not for the shape. So I'm going to tackle these both together, and I'm going to run down, if one is different than the other in terms of like playability or like the comfort or whatnot. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to go down my checklist here, guys. So here we go. Boom. All right, guys, let's go down. The first thing in my list is hardware. So like I said, hardware includes, like, I'd say the tuning machines, all the stuff like the pickup selector, the knobs, the bridge, the tailpiece, and overall with these guitars, they all come out of the same shape. The same shop, and it's they're basically throwing on all the same guitars, so it's all the same quality. Out of all my guitars, I'd say these two hold tuning very, very well. Probably not the best. It's not the best I have. Obviously, I have locking tuners on some of my guitars, but yeah, just really good. Every now and again you'll have to retune and whatnot, but it holds tuning very well. The actual hardware, I've had these guitars for quite a while now. It gets dirty, obviously. This one I have to wipe down, actually. But it's not eroding at an alarming rate or anything, With a lot of cheap guitars or guitars made in China and stuff, that's one of the things you have to worry about, is the hardware basically eroding and turning into garbage, It loses its luster. But so far, it looks good. The frets look good. Yeah, the little bone nut here at the top, it all is good. I've had this guitar for, I'd say, about maybe like 5 years, maybe 4 years at this point. And yeah, I mean, the hardware looks good. It's good in shape. It's a good shape. And the same goes for that guitar over there. Sorry, again, I'm going to be talking in unison about these two. you know, unless there's like a severe difference. I'm going to have a bunch of bonus footage so that you could see everything that I'm talking about. Alright guys, so the neck. Let's go over the neck. Now, with Solar guitars in general, they seem to be the same, you know, unless you're getting a specific one like with a maple neck. You know, you're getting a lot of these necks with ebony fretboards. You know, it's ebony or maple, I see. So these two both have the same fretboard. And yeah, I mean, in terms of just how good the neck feels, both of them are very good. Obviously, like I said, it's both a matte finish, but the backs of both necks are not glossed. So, you know, you could really go for maximum speed. And again, I'm not sure about the shape, the actual shape of the profile, but with these Solar guitars, both of them specifically, they're both very thin. So, yeah, it's kind of like what I'm used to. And with metal players specifically, you're definitely going to want like a thinner neck. But yeah, overall, neck feels good. And yeah, so yeah. The overall comfort. Now, this is where both of these probably are a little different, I would say. So obviously, with an Explorer, you're going to be going about playing with this, you know, different ways. If you're sitting down, this is typically how I play it. I put it right between my legs, just like my V's. And, you know, sometimes I'll have a strap to accompany the weight. In terms of standing up, it's very comfortable playing. A big problem with Explorers in general is that neck dive. And I find Solar is literally the only company that I've gotten, you know, an Explorer with that doesn't do that. They do not do that. Another reason is because of the placement. A lot of, you know, people with the little strap, you know, the little pegs for the straps, they'll have it here in this inner horn right here, and that is always a spell for disaster. With Solar, they have it right here where normally the joint would meet. It's right there. So I find that it does not do the neck dive, like at all. It's a very well distributed in terms of weight. And that's another problem with Explorers, is they're typically heavier. So it's like, it's a strain. It's not only neck diving, but it's a strain on you while you're playing live shows. And it just simply doesn't happen. So, and then with this guitar over here, this, you know what, I'm going to switch over right now. This guitar right here is as light as a feather, as light as humanly possible. I have collected over, I'd say, 30 guitars in my life, and nothing has been lighter than this guitar here. I don't know if that applies to all of the F-shaped guitars at Solar, but yeah, this is extremely light. I have absolutely no problems playing this live. And it's extremely comfortable. There's no neck dive. Neck dive doesn't exist. It just, wherever you put it, it sits, and it's beautiful. And yeah, comfort is extremely important when playing. And my experience so far with Solar guitars is that their guitars are very comfortable. Alright, how do they sound? Now, obviously, I talked about this the last time in my Firefly review. Sounds can be deceiving. They can be different. You could have the crappiest guitar in the world, but if you have an awesome pickup in it, it could sound awesome, you know? And then there's the whole tone wood debate and whatnot. But with these guitars specifically, they're both, I think, the same wood. I think they're both rosewood, if I am mistaken. I'm going to put the types of wood that they are right there. And basically, you know, they both have the same pickup in the bridge. I put a Seymour Duncan Nazgul in the bridge. So that's mostly what I use. I don't switch, you know, between typically. This guitar specifically, it's very, very trebly. It's a little harsher. So when I play this one, I typically dial the gain slightly back because of how light it is, and you know how I attribute it almost entirely to the fact that this thing is like a feather. You got to dial back the gain a little bit. Whereas my Explorer over here in the corner, because it is an Explorer, and people who play Explorers will know this, the tone is a lot warmer. So that is one battle, having between these two guitars is, if I'm switching between them, just, doing little tweaks to my sound. However, yeah, that's the sound is, one of them is typically warmer. One of them is typically, harsher. However, they both have the same pickup, so do with that information as you will. Sound is very, very subjective, but once you swap out the pickup, I did not like the Solar pickups that they put on this guitar. They're passive pickups. I love passive pickups. They just didn't have enough give for me, and I can't remember if they were Alcano or not, but they were the stock pickups that Solar guitars come with. So when you get a Solar guitar, just, I don't want to say plan on getting a new pickup set or throw one in the bridge, but that's what I've had to do with both of mine. Alrighty, playability. Now, I've owned so many guitars over the time. I've owned BC Riches, I've owned Deans, Jacksons, a Schecter. I've had some, stranger brands like Legator or Agile. And so far, out of all of my guitars, these guys have been the most reliable when it comes to playability. Regardless of whether it's in the studio or the stage, these things are awesome. When whether you're going to just, shred a lead or just play an extremely tight rhythm, there's nothing stopping you. There's no resistance. You just, it's an awesome guitar. This one, just like my other Solar, has a matte finish, and the back of the neck is unfinished, so that you could just shred on this thing like crazy. That's the thing with Solar guitars, is they were created specifically for the modern metal guitar player in mind. So, a lot of those problems, like, I don't know, at one point Schecter was known for having necks that were like baseball bats, thick and chunky, or BC Riches were extremely heavy. I feel like Solar has addressed some of those issues and really, really tweaked them. But yeah, in terms of playability, these two guitars in my collection really just are unmatched, I'd say. I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate. I have a very, very good collection. So all of my guitars are, pretty awesome. But in terms of playability, there's no contest with these two. Aesthetics. Again, this is another category that's extremely subjective. I have here my F-shaped Solar that is a neon lime green, and some people would say that is absolutely disgusting. Like, why would you do that? I am all about bringing back the retro, like hot pink, or blood orange, or like fire engine red. This bringing back a neon green. A lot of companies didn't do that. You'd be able to maybe get it from like Jackson or something, but Solar does a lot of finishes that are very untraditional. They have the Cannibalismo series, which, they have different colors, but with like a cannibalistic, like the blood, splattered across the guitars. And one of their offerings is a pink one with black blood splatter all over the guitar. So they have finishes that are incredible. This one, compared to that, is a lot more tame. This is just a neon green guitar. And this one over here is a trans red guitar where you could just see the wood right through the guitar, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I think the aesthetics are amazing for a company that isn't really even charging you that much. Because they are a small company, they can continue doing whatever they want and throw it out there. If you want to check out the rest of their stuff, go on to solarguitars.com. It is awesome, guys. I'm very biased when it comes to the aesthetics. I love the reverse headstock on a guitar. And just the overall shape of it. A big deal breaker with me in guitars is, well, if it has a headstock and it looks stupid, that'll deter me right away from even trying your company. There are so many companies out there with really stupid looking headstocks. And I think with Solar, they found again, just a really good headstock with it just being pointy and violent. Okay, so an overall rating. Now, I can't remember if my last one I gave a number or if I just kind of talked about it. But overall, I will say there are so many guitar companies out there, guys. You know, you could go with a custom build Kiesel or a Mayonnaise. You know, there are so many awesome guitars out there. So, you know, for a company to stand out in this market, it's very difficult. It's very, very competitive. And, you know, for example, I have a Legator. I have a purple Legator V. And they got dragged through the mud like a long time ago about the quality of their guitars. It's also bad to be famous for something like that, you know? So it's like when you are a guitar company, you want to stand out, but you want to stand out in the right ways. Solar Guitars offers guitars that are cheap and affordable, and they are awesome. I mean, just look at this thing, you know? It's an awesome shape. It's got a lot of these awesome features. The aesthetics to me, just the finish is just absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, overall rating, if I had to give it a number, I'd say 8 out of 10. Simply because, like any guitar, you're going to have issues. With Solar Guitar specifically, and this is a disclaimer, guys, I saved this for the end. It's the only problem that I have with Solar Guitars. So I have 2 of them now, and if you know people who have Solar Guitars or have been in a Solar Guitars forum or have just heard people complain about them, they complain about pretty much 2 things. Just 2 things that are consistent. I don't know if this has to do with the fact that they are made in Indonesia, or maybe it's an issue of just like how you're storing the guitars, but over the neck here, like right where the fret meets the neck, there are these tiny little cracks, right where the fret meets the wood. And I've been told that is a direct correlation of, like how basically, how your room and whatnot is weather treated and all that. But I have a lot of guitars. My purple Legator is finally starting to get those cracks, but I've had that guitar for, God, I don't know, like what seems to be like 9 years now, 8 years, something like that. So these guitars with that crack problem specifically happened relatively early. So that is the only thing that I noticed is it doesn't affect the playability. Just know going in, this is a problem that I've heard. I don't know if it happens to everybody. It's a problem that has been made very vocal. But, if that's a deal breaker, I totally get it. But it does not affect playability at all. And it might not affect everybody. This just happened to me. I have 2 Solar guitars. And with this one and that one, the same problem has happened. It might just be a way that I store these guys, but yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it's the type of wood that it's made out of, or the fact that it is a shop in Indonesia. But overall, I'd say 8 out of 10. That sucks, but these things are so much better than that one little problem. But yeah, these things have held up very well. There'll be times where I won't touch them for long periods of time, and I'll go to grab it, and the thing will still be in tune even after all this time. The hardware, holds up. And yeah, I'd say overall, I'm very happy with these guitars. And if you are, whether you're a new guitar player or a skilled guitar player, Solar has so many options. They have entry-level guitars that are around like $600-700. They offer more clearance than I've ever seen any company offer. You can buy a cheap guitar that's B-stock for even cheaper than they already have on their website. And they offer a lot of options with like Floyd Rose guitars, or like they have a lot of options where they won't have a 2 pickup configuration. It'll be just a bridge, or an Evertune system. It's a lot of options for a smaller company to offer at a decent price. It's not outrageous. And why would you spend that money at like a Jackson or something when it's like, oh, this almost feels like it was cut out of a mold. There's not really too much special about it. Whereas like you take that money and you put into Solar and you can get something truly beautiful. You can get like I said, a hot pink blood-stained guitar, or like they have telly shapes now. They have the Les Paul shape. These are only 2. They have a V shape, and now they just offered an X shape that will be available soon. So they have a lot of options, varying in affordability, typically cheaper. But yeah, overall I'm very happy with these guitars. And if you guys are thinking about getting them, I support your decision. So that's it, guys. That's Mike's rig rundown, and we'll see what I got cooking up next time. I've been waiting to do this video for a while, just a timing thing, But yeah, you guys have a good day, and I'll see you later.